Another piece of equipment that we have is a portable gas chromatograph. There's a picture of one there. And it is portable. It can test for a variety of chemicals. It can test air, water, and soil. And it can perform continuous monitoring. So it can be set up on somebody's porch or something, or in their home, or a variety of things, and it will run continuously into infinity, taking a sample every 10 minutes or so. And so this, I believe, will be a very powerful tool for us to have, and it will really help us gather a tremendous amount of data. We're also going to be using stainless steel Suma canisters, which is a very typical air testing technology. With these, you can do grab sampling, 1-hour sampling, 24-hour sampling. You can have a flow limiter that essentially is set for whatever time frame that you want. So it gives you a lot of flexibility with your testing as well, and it's also a very accurate way and a very good method to test. We also have Teflon bag technology, and we have some samples of that here. We'll break out when we start the question and answer session. And it's also good. It takes 1-minute grab samples, fills up a 1-liter bag of air, and it uses a small portable vacuum pump, so it's not a big cumbersome piece of equipment. It's more affordable for us to do the Teflon bags, but it also gives us a high degree of accuracy with our testing. So we will be using trained volunteers to do all of our testing. We have volunteers right now in 3 states. We're screening volunteers in other states. We've had a lot of folks come out and want to be a part of this organization. I'm very proud to say that. And so I expect us to start growing this organization soon. So our samples will be analyzed by the AutoGC, and we will be sending them to nationally certified laboratories. So, ShaleTest will follow EPA protocol, and our sampling procedures are being vetted by industry professionals, folks who do this consistently. We hope to begin testing in 30 to 45 days live. We're doing testing right now to make sure that our processes and procedures are good and that the whole process flows smoothly. We believe that the data will aid in the protection of public health in areas of shale gas exploration. We intend to maintain a good working relationship with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and I think that the data collected will help TCEQ and the industry in itself. And so I'm very proud to announce ShaleTest. What we'd like to do is invite some of the board members to come up and briefly give a quick few minutes if they would like to. Tim, would you like to come up real quickly?
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Ruggiero. I just wanted to take a minute. I think Calvin pretty much summed it up. That what was in this for me was after September 16th and seeing all the repeated bad acts by the operator on my property, Aruba Petroleum, who single-handedly managed to contaminate not only the air and our soil and our drinking water. I joined Calvin on a tour of the Marcellus Shale, and I saw some real horror stories there. And I also got to meet quite a few people, and I think the one thing that did it for me was when we went to visit somebody's farm. He was a 3rd-generation farmer, and his water is contaminated. It's visibly contaminated. I mean, you just see the white foamy surfactants float down the stream that's in the agricultural pond that feeds off of that he feeds his horses and cattle. And the guy lost a number of, I think, 12 to 15 horses and a number of cattle. And I thought we had it bad. And the response that he got from the operator that was on his property, was pretty much the same response that he got from the Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania, which was, how do we know that this wasn't contaminated prior to us showing up here when we hadn't had any testing done? Again, he's a third-generation farmer. I think if they had problems with their water, with his, with his great-grandfather's water, I think they would have discovered it long before the drilling did. So it was, ShaleTest for me was born from that day. I think it was that night or the following night Calvin and I got together, and we just we have to do something. We have to do something to help people, and we have to do something to build awareness as to the potential dangers that natural gas well drilling development can bring. It's not to say that I personally am anti-drilling. I'm not opposed to drilling, but I am very much opposed to being poisoned, and I am very much in favor of doing it right. And I would go so far as to say if you can't do it right, then you shouldn't do it at all. So again, thanks for coming out today. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, and I'll offer up, Sherelle, would you like to come and say a brief?
Hi, my name is Sherelle Blazer. I wasn't going to make any remark today, but I'm an atmospheric chemist. I've been a visiting scientist at NCAR, National Center of Atmospheric Research. I got my master's degree from Yale School of Forestry, Environmental Health and Chemistry. And I have to say, I'm just so happy to be affiliated with all these people in this organization. I think the work that we're going to be doing is extremely important, not only to get an accurate baseline, which does not exist right now, but also to have a comparison to both what the state and federal government will be coming out with as their numbers. Again, it's just going to be invaluable information, and I'm very excited, extremely excited. Can't wait to get to work on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherelle. And Andy Chessier from Arkansas is going to come up and talk, and he's going to give the mic for a second, and then we'll have the Josh talk after that.
Okay, yes, it's pronounced Cheshire. we'll get it right. It's Arkansas is real excited about this because our ADEQ, when you call them, it can take up to 7 days before they show up on the site, and by then, if the rainstorms come or whatever, a lot of stuff gets washed away. So everyone in Arkansas is very excited about this. Me and Robert were hoping to hit the ground running and build this base testing on sites that haven't been drilled yet, and also be able to catch these chemicals on the ground before they get washed away or just dried up into the roads and blow away. So we're very excited, and thank you to everyone for getting this organization up and running.
I'll just call you Andy from now on. Yeah. Of course, most of the folks have seen the movie Gasland. If you haven't, there's a good opportunity tonight at 217 East Broadway in Fort Worth. And if you can't make that one, there's one tomorrow night in Highland Village on the Flower Mound border. Josh came to DISH, I guess it was a little over a year ago, about a year and a half ago. And by the time he got to DISH, I think he'd been on the road for quite some time, because he looked like he'd been on the road for quite some time. and so one thing that I noticed right away with Josh, as with most everybody else that's sitting at the table up here, is that everybody has been all in or extremely committed to doing what they're doing. And I could tell that Josh was extremely committed to his project, which was Gasland, which is the awards list that Gasland has gotten so big that they can't fit it on the flyer. And so he's done a marvelous job with that movie, and he has changed the conversation entirely throughout the United States with that. And so we're proud to have Josh Fox be on our board of advisors. And so, Josh, would you please come up and speak for him?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm extremely happy to be here today. When Calvin first told me about this idea, I thought, well, here comes the cavalry. You know, that finally there was a way for citizens to actually interact and have science at their disposal, because the level of frustration with the chemical contamination, both in air and water, that they know is happening, that they can't get action on, it's remarkable. Now, in first making gasoline, I traveled to about, 25 odd states. And what I saw is what's in the film is that there's rampant air and water contamination, rampant health problems in the drilling areas. And these are huge areas of the United States. And as I've toured with the film in our kind of grassroots screening tour, when it was screened on HBO, and over 3 million people watched it on its run on HBO, and about 50,000 in theaters at this point, I've learned that there's hundreds of thousands of people out there across the United States that are incredibly concerned with this. We get, an enormous quantity of emails saying, will you come here, will you show the film, where do I go to get testing done? In fact, the film was shown in Shreveport yesterday, and people were asking me, how can we get our water tested? How do we get our samples tested? Because in some towns there aren't independent water testing. People will come out and do it. So when Calvin was designing this idea to have a responsible and an accredited way of getting testing done that would be available to people, it was specifically designed to look at what's happening in unconventional gas drilling areas, specifically shale gas areas. So that's a fantastic idea. And I know that the list of advisors will only continue to grow from people who can continue to build this organization. I know this is just the beginning of it. So I'm really incredibly excited about it. And also very excited that it's both water and air. And as you look at Frank Feenan's shots of the emissions coming off of the well sites, if you can go back just a year and a half or 2 years ago to Dr. Alan Armendariz, who was then a researcher at SMU, and his air quality report which showed that at the time, 7,700 gas wells in the Fort Worth area contributed as much air pollution as all of the cars and trucks in Dallas and Fort Worth Metroplex, which is the fourth largest city in America. Just those 7,700 gas wells, you can see that, you can actually see with your eyes those emissions coming out. You can see that idea of clean burning natural gas, at least when it comes to being developed by this extraction method, is a lie. That it is not what we get. If you examine the life cycle of natural gas, it is debatable as if it is better than coal. And you're taking a look at the emissions profile. And there are studies starting about that at Cornell. So when you're looking at all of our future of energy, it's clear that there is this shale gas exploding, and that it is the principal competitor with renewable energy as a way forward. And if you take a look at the air emissions, and you can see them so visibly with that FLIR camera, and I'm sure that in all these locations across America you're going to find the same result, that there are fugitive emissions, that there are pipeline discharges that blow off, that actually when you're doing the drilling you're releasing an enormous amount of methane, which is 21 to 72 times the greenhouse gas of carbon dioxide. You're going to see with your eyes how polluting the process is. And that before you even get to the burning stage, you're creating this incredible air contamination, air pollution situation. So that's really exciting. And I think it's just fantastic that people actually have an outlet, that there is a place to contact, there is a place to go, that is actually trying to keep tabs on an industry which continues to try to hide its pollution and continues to deny that it's doing what everybody knows that it's doing, which is contaminating water and contaminating air. So I'm really proud to be a part of this. Always happy to come to Fort Worth. I think this is the fourth time I've been here this year, because it's a starting point.